Cool. All right, guys, and we're live. All right,
We're live.
and we're live. What's up, guys? This is Bar Austin. We're all things Austin, Texas. I'm Sean,
I'm TJ.
and we have with us here today. We have Chaz Moore. He's the founder of the Austin Justice Coalition. We want to first of all thank you for coming on with everything you have going on right now and making a little time for us, but also really to thank you for holding those in our city government accountable.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Just thank you all for having me.
absolutely, man.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
And with
Yeah, really,
so much
go ahead.
heartache and grief that comes from George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and Michael Ramos here in Austin, as well as countless others across the nation that have been taken from us over the years. Um, just doing the research about you, found out that these things that have happened, you've been calling for change for quite a while with them.
Yeah, I've been I guess I don't want to say lucky enough, but I've been in this fight. I've been in this what we call movement work for a while. I've been doing this since I first got to University of Texas at the age of 18. Just dealing with like little, like low level racism, if you can, at the University of Texas, and then Black Lives Matter started because we start seeing, and I think we as a country and we as a people start becoming more aware of police murders and police violence because, we live, now we got body cameras and cell phones and things of that nature. So
Fortunately,
yeah, this is by far not my first rodeo, sad to say. But hopefully, with this newfound energy, this newfound something like this moment feels different, that this can be, if not my last, at least one of the last rodeos around this particular issue. So, but yeah, I've been doing this for a while.
Right. I mean, yeah, it's just kind of you don't want bad things to happen, but with with this, it's finally the people waking up and really putting that push out there. It's great to see, of course, but one would always hope that everything does change from everything happening right now in the entire nation itself.
Mm. Yeah, and I've been kind of using example of alarm clocks. I think with each of these murders and instances of injustice, and each of these hashtags, it kind of plays like an alarm clock, right? So for me, because I am a Black man in this country, the alarm clock for me that hit home to me was Trayvon Martin. That wasn't police brutality, but it was still like a road cop, in Zimmerman. And that made me realize at a very early age that, man, we still have a lot of work to do and a lot of work to go. And then you look at all these other instances of the Sandra Bland was an alarm clock for somebody that really, woke somebody up and wanted somebody, grab somebody's attention so much to now they're doing this work. For me, you look at the timeline of Mike Ramos and George Floyd, and Mike Ramos being here in Austin, that woke up a little bit more people. But it's something about this George Floyd incident that has been that alarm clock, and we've all had alarm clocks to where you either ignore it or you hit snooze, whatever the case may be. But we've all had that alarm clock that was just so loud and so startling that you had no choice but to wake up. And you might be, a few seconds before you actually need, before you need to get out of bed and go where you need to go. But you wake up almost in shock because it's so loud and so resounding. And I think that's what, the George Floyd and Mike Ramos and Breonna Taylor, I think that's what this moment is. So it's very exciting to see how we move forward from this moment. But the fact that in all 50 states, right, everybody's like, there's some form of protest in all the states in America. I think says a lot, and I think it says it's time that we try to get this right. So
No, absolutely. We've recently talked to Officer Justin Berry with the Austin Police Department, and he gave with your recent safety measures of pulling back on the protests, everything for the safety of everybody in the community. I know we really appreciate it, and as community did. And also Justin Berry made a statement saying that he really appreciated that for the community itself. But when it, I know you've also condemned it for any of the looting or damage that goes on in the city. But when it comes to measures like that, what can we do more to really get the messaging of this isn't what protesting is about? It's about getting your voice out, which everybody want to see and want to happen. But when I'm hearing more about, which I got a recent conversation with somebody online about the spray painting going on our state capitol. And that just has really turned me on the why is this happening? Mm-hmm. What more can we do to really get messaging out of separating that?
Well, so I think, I think this conversation alone is very big. So I don't want to take up too much time, but I think one, you have to kind of break it down into two main groups. And the group that I don't want to spend too much time on is a group that is just using this moment, this opportunity to come out and just do crazy stuff, right? That group that's coming out with no intention or no goodwill, that bothers me the most, right? Especially if you're out here looting and, doing all that stuff just for the hell of it. Like that to me is one, is irresponsible, selfish, because it takes away from the people that are here to actually use their voice and platforms and whatever to bring about.
Like I just want to harp on for World Liquor over on East 6.
Yeah, right.
Really hit very hard.
Yeah,
very
so like that to me is complete nonsense. Then you have the group of people that are here for the right reasons, and even in that group, you have to kind of split it in half, right? I think, again, why I don't I don't condone that type of stuff. I also get it, right? I don't have to condone it to get it. I get that there are some people that are so upset and so disgusted by the fact that Black people just seem to not be safe in this country, whether it's coronavirus or police or whatever. That I think after so much of seeing that, after so many years of that going on, like literally since the inception of this country, it's kind of like a boiling pot, right? Like at some point the water boils over, and some people choose to engage in that stuff, right? And I think we also have to keep in mind that protest and rioting is very much, it's almost American as this American pie, and I don't even like pie, so I don't know why we should use another snack. But when you think about the Boston Tea Party, when you think about Stonewall, right? Stonewall was a riot, and without Stonewall, maybe we wouldn't have advanced in LGBTQ issues as we did. Women's suffrage were protesting in the street. So I think it's very important for people to know that. Now, when it comes to looting of businesses, I think that's, again, all this is so nuanced. But I think that's one thing. But when you're looting businesses of color, when we're talking about issues that are affecting Black people and people of color, to me that doesn't line up, and to me that doesn't show that you actually know why you're here in the first place. Yeah. And even with the spray painting, right? Again, I don't personally get it, but also I do. And at the same time, whether somebody condones that or not, or whether they get it or not, that spray paint, that business, the windows, all that can be replaced. But what we can't do, we can't bring back Mike Ramos and George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. We can't bring back anybody that lives have been taken away from police brutality or just in general, right? So I get people's frustration with that, but I think we have to also realize that frustration will be quelled or quenched the moment we rebuild or we repair. But when I think of, Miss Ramos, the mother of Mike Ramos, she'll never get to see her son again, right? Yeah. When I think of his daughter, who I saw at the march in Houston, who was so proud that her dad had changed the world in this kind of in this posthumous way. You know, he won't be there to take her to prom, or, you know, to you know, the daddy daughter dance and things like, he won't be there to give her away if she gets married. So, you know, I get it again, but I think we have to keep in mind what's more valuable, what's more important, and to me, that's human life. So.
No, absolutely. I mean,
And then
come down to just
that's one
how do we channel it?
Well, that's one thing that I wanted to say is like the part that I really enjoyed about your interview with Mayor Adler recently is you said, you know, the first thing we have to do is accept that, you know, people who look like me, we don't know. You know what I mean? And so I wanted to have this conversation with you to ask what we can do to start to change things. And that's really what I want to focus on. It's like, how can we help with what you're doing to try to change things that are going on?
Yeah. And you know, I think, you know, because I think we're all building this plane as we're learning to fly, right? Because again, I think this seems to be a very genuine point in this country where I think we really want to try to get rid of racism as much as we can. And I have views and opinions about that because I'm Black and I experience racism. So, you know, I always tell white people, I think it's really good to, you know, take moments like this to where you invite me and we can talk, and, you know, you all can lean in and we can have that conversation. And I think it's really good for, you know, white people to talk to as many different Black people as possible, because, you know, it's some Black people that don't agree with my, you know, I get compared to MLK all the time, which I think is dope. You know, the guy he was a pretty significant guy, but, you know, some of us are so tired that we don't want to do policy and legislation and advocacy. So I think it's good to make sure that we have you know, a unique voice as we're having these conversations moving forward. And then also, you know, it's groups like Undoing White Supremacy Austin, which is a group of white Austinites that realize that it's, you know, up to white people to do the inner work that they need to do to, you know, eradicate racism and make sure that they're not contributing either directly or indirectly to racism. You know, it's so many books and things that you can do. And you know, I think it's as simple as Googling, like, how do I become anti-racist? And I think that's the focal point, right? It's one thing to declare you're not a racist. That's a good thing. Everybody not to be a racist, but I think the goal is to be anti-racist, right? Like, you have to make sure that like, it's so many little things and like microaggressions that actually are racist, but they just may not appear to be. So
Right.
making sure that we're all doing the anti-racist work, making sure we're all becoming better people, and making sure that we are uplifting and centering the voices of people that have historically been oppressed or hurt or left out. Because again, you know, the people that are closest to the problem are closest to the solution as well, right? I can, you know, if you've been, prime example, you know, just to be completely vulnerable in the moment, I lost my mom at the age of 7, right? Now, it used to annoy me for the longest when, you know, my friends who still have both of their parents at home would say, "Oh man, I get it. I know how you feel." That's impossible, right? Like, you may have experienced death in some type of way, but you don't know what it's like to lose a parent. So, you know, and it's things that, unless you've been through that, you can't give any advice. Like, you can listen. All you can do is listen. And the more you listen, you can slowly, hopefully try to empathize. But until we learn how to empathize and until we learn how to do that by actually listening to the people, again, that have been hurt the most, all we can do is sympathize. So, you know, it's just, again, really being as close to the people and listening to the people, because, you know, 9 times out of 10, those people have the solutions. They have the ideas about how we can get better, how we can fix some of this stuff.
Right. Yeah, because that's what we want to do is try to preserve Austin, because both TJ and I are from here and we really care about this city and we want to see good things for the city and we want to see the city move forward in good ways. And you're one of the people that's doing that. And that's why I was just wanting to dive into kind of what we could do on a local level to get those things done.
Yeah. I mean, it's so much, man. But I think
yeah, of course.
I think one book that I would recommend to so many people, yes, is How to Be an Anti-Racist by Ibram X. Kendi. It's such a good book. and I recommend so many, I think so many people need to read that book. And I think for me, the work that I do around the criminal legal system is making sure that, we have a system that is here, that's fair and just, but we also have to understand how deep racism is tied to all of our institutions, right? So it's really about understanding racism and what white supremacy is, and then applying it to like our everyday lives to make sure we can undo as much of it as possible.
Right. I mean, I think that's the biggest question is for two white men ourselves. I think most can't even have the question with their own self of, am I a racist? And easily say, well, no, I'm not. But I think most people need to have that question themselves. And we really appreciate you recommending that book. I'll highly read it. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, I want white people to understand, like, the chances that you are racist is highly likely, but that's okay, because like that's who we've been as a world and as a country. Just like men, like, there's a high chance that most men are toxic because we've been ingrained in toxic masculine culture, right? And that's okay. Like, even if you think you're a good guy and you hear that for the first time, you get kind of defensive, right? You be like, oh, no way, like that can't be me. But then you start, if you listen to ladies and you listen to women and they start explaining you how, you be like, oh, okay, I actually do that little thing, that little annoying thing. I do that little thing that's kind of misogynistic, right? And once you hear that, and if you can hear it openly and honestly, you start to understand what they're talking about, and then you can start doing the work to become a better man. So same thing with white people. When you hear that you may be racist, and you probably are, that's okay. It's really not your fault. It's only your fault if you hear that and you don't do anything about it, right? If you don't want to challenge that, if you don't change the status quo. So yeah, I'm just telling, I think it's important for white people to know that, like, it's okay. But what do you want to do moving forward, right? So, but yeah, I agree with you, TJ.
That's where one of the things I want to talk about. I was reading last night because there's a lot of information about you out there, and it's fascinating. But just reading about one of the things that you with the Austin Justice Coalition had brought awareness to is that the I can't think of the word right now. The rule basically with the way that the whole thing went down with Michael Ramos changed, under Chief Manley, and so just wanted to find out what specific things we can do there to, try to change it back, try to, get things on the right direction with that.
Well, I think with that, just comes leadership, right? Because when you look at Art Acevedo, he got rid of that rule. Like, he banned the policy that said officers could shoot at a moving vehicle. Manley comes into play for some reason or another. It comes back into play, that policy, and that policy is literally the thing that's responsible for Mike Ramos's death. Because the officer that shot him when he was outside of the car shot him with a beanbag round, which was still, I didn't see the justification for that, but that wasn't
still a deadly weapon.
Yeah, but the lethal blow was when they shot at the car, which they shouldn't have. And I think that brings into question, in my humble opinion, leadership, right? I think, and again, I say this so much at this point, and because I believe it. Chief Manley, Brian Manley, is a great guy. Like, stand-up guy. Like I've been saying, if you all were to go on vacation for 2 weeks, he would come pick your mail up. He would come water your dog. He would come water your flowers. He may even cut your grass because he's a good guy, and I know he's a genuine good guy. I do not think Chief Manley possesses the visionary leadership, the cultural competency to understand the moment that we're in and be a part of the solution when it comes to his local police department. Like, we need massive progressive reforms and changes in our police departments. And I don't think he really understands that. The fact that if this is true, that I saw somebody recently post that he's thinking about curfew, to me means he doesn't get it, right? Because you do a curfew, which is again, in my opinion, infringement upon people's First Amendment rights. And then now you're gonna put people in jail because they want to, protest and be in the streets and let their voices be heard. Like I don't think he gets it. And if he doesn't get it, if he doesn't get it and we keep him, I can only see things getting much worse in Austin. So, I just think we need new leadership. And until we get that, I think we'll just keep running around in circles doing the same things we've been doing. And we'll have more Mike Ramoses, more De Silvas, more Landos, more Sophia Kings. And, I think Austin is ready for a change, especially when it comes to the police department.
I mean, absolutely, man. That goes hand in hand with, we've been so quiet recently on even voting in all the elections coming up. We put so much more hype and so much more push on the understanding of voting that right leadership in, and that puts in the right people in place for the measure we want within here, especially.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think, I'm hopeful that with this, my main thing is, I don't care if people want to do criminal justice reform. Whatever your thing is. I think we should all be more civically involved as a country, right? I think one thing I appreciate about history, it just seemed that people were more civically involved, right? People would have debates at, in chambers and in City Hall and things of that nature. And I think we have to get back to that. It's not the end all be all, but we definitely have to get back to people being more aware. So I think hopefully moving forward, outside of this particular moment, people are more willing to, get more engaged with their mayor and city council and city manager, so we can, because one thing I do believe in, this is our government, right? They don't tell us what to do; we tell them what to do. And if we're not a part of that conversation, then they're making calls on their own. So hopefully people are, like you said, not only voting, but we just become more civically involved. Everybody should know where City Hall is in the first place. So, we'll see. We'll see what comes up.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, yeah, getting involved in, because a lot of people talk about national, and of course that's what you hear on the national news and stuff like that. It's your national elections, but a lot of it comes down to, in my opinion, your local stuff and everything like that, and getting involved with those local decisions, because a lot of people don't know who they are, and they're like, well, they're just so-and-so, so I'll check the box and I'll go for them. So, I think that's important. One of the things I thought was strange, I was watching, I believe it was Saturday, and there was some girl out there, and she was calling you out saying you were paid by the police department. I'm like, that doesn't even make any sense, and I felt for you in that situation, because I was just like, you worked so hard to, do reform around the police department, things like that, in the justice system. And, I did the research. I'm like, fine, I'll do the research. I'll spend the time. I'll look for it. There's not any, I'll say it for you, so. I didn't know if you had anything to say about that, because they cut the broadcast, right as you were starting to answer. I just didn't know if you had anything you wanted to elaborate on it.
So, man, I think, again, and I really appreciate that. I think it always amuses me that person or people even assume that, because, of the work, mainly because of the work we did in 2018, where we stopped the police department from getting $44 million, right? In 2017, the police department, through the police union contract, was asking for about $85 or $82 million. And we came in with our fight against the police union contract, and they lost half of that. They lost $44 million. Even today, my organization is encouraging people to defund the police department. I've been enough to get scholarships through the Nathan Cummins Foundation, if people want to look that up, and through New Profit, which is with John Legend. He has a cohort and a fellowship for people that have been formerly incarcerated and that have been through the legal system. That's come because of my stance against needing more money in the police department and fighting the police department. And the crazy thing about it is, many years ago, before we even got started with the organization, we had a GoFundMe for a victim of police violence, or something we were doing, and Chief Art Acevedo donated to that, right? And I saw it was $250. I called him and told him there's no way we can accept this, and we gave it back to him. But all they could see was, he donated, and they took that screenshot and they ran with it. And apparently I've been on APD payroll since then. So, I can't control what people say about me. All I can control is how I react. And I was proud of how I reacted in that moment. And, I just stay true to me and stay true to who I am, because we know that people like me, whether you're Malcolm or whether you're Martin or wherever you are, people are going to have something to say. So, and I'm not trying to compare myself to Malcolm and Martin, but it's just like, no matter what your philosophy or ideology is or your method, people are going to say something. So.
No, and I mean, I just wanted to give you the opportunity because obviously when you're doing as much change as you're doing for the community, like, people are going to say something, and people try to bring people down. Whenever you see somebody coming up, you just want to try to smash them back down. And I don't understand why we do that. So, like, I just wanted to give you the opportunity to be able to clear that. So, thanks for answering that.
And let me say this, Chaz. If you lost my company $44 million, I'd fire you.
Exactly, right? So I don't know. They can explain that conspiracy to whatever, but
it's on the record here.
Yep. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So what do people do that don't want to maybe don't feel comfortable going out and protesting for whatever reason, whether they're scared or whatever, like what can they do from home, whether it's on social media or things like that? Because we saw the Blackout Tuesday thing and there was a bunch of mixed messages whether that was a good or bad idea. Like, what do we do to help from home, until those of us who don't feel safe going out can go out?
I think one thing you can do is donate, and I'm not saying to us. I'm just find an organization that is doing something that aligns with you politically and philosophy wise, because we all I think it's also important to say that we can't expect people, especially people of color and Black folks, to do this work for free. I think every day I get up, I'm fighting for a better tomorrow. Like, that's what I do, whether it's at City Hall or whatever I'm doing. And I think it's okay for people to be compensated for that. Like, a lot of times people expect for activists and organizers to do this work for free. So, donating to make sure these people can stay fed and in a house and is one. Again, books. I'm a fan of reading. I think everybody should read. Watching movies like Just Mercy that was around Brian Stevenson, documentaries. It's so many things we can do. Listening to artists that talk about this stuff. And I think to answer the question in a more packaged way is just continue to do the self work, whatever that routine. Like, some people have skincare routines, right? Some people have hair routines. Like, whatever that routine consists of you, like, maybe it's reading a book and having local community meetings where you're talking about anti-racist work, and then maybe donating to organization. Like, just do whatever that. Come up with a routine and do that as much as you can. And again, Google can be your best friend in this, and because there's so much information out there that I would just encourage people to go find out what makes sense for them.
Anybody can go out there and research online there's so many different places that say that donate here, donate there. What would you say within Austin, especially the top 3 places to look into to donate to?
One, I have to say, us, because I'm the ED and I don't want to get in trouble.
I would like for you to say yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Austin Justice Coalition is a really good place to start. And we would appreciate it. We do anti-racist work, racial justice work. I think another good group to me that I really care about, because I think is important, is Mama Sana Vibrant, the Black Mama ATX Collective, I believe, because the work that they do is centered around the Black mother mortality rate, right? Like, for people that don't know, really quickly, Black women are, I think, 1 in 3, 1 in 4 chance of dying just at birth, because they're not taken seriously when they say they're hurting, or whatever conditions that arise. They're literally just being ignored through the birthing process, and that's something that they're trying to stop. So I really respect that work. And then I think another group that I respect and that I like is Grassroots Leadership. They their big thing is ending mass incarceration. And Annette Price is a friend of mine over there, and they have a subgroup, Texas Advocates for Justice, which Darren Helmson is a part of, and I really respect and admire the work that they do. So, I think those are just really 3 good starts that for people that want to get engaged on a local level.
Well, let me ask you a quick suggestion on doing a lot of research on Six Square recently, and they're preserving the culture and everything over there in East Austin. What do you think of Six Square?
Yeah, I think Six Square is good. I think cultural preservation in a city like Austin, where gentrification is, erased a lot of Black heritage and culture, is keen. That's also really another good group especially as we get ready to celebrate Juneteenth, which is the day that Texas slaves found out they were free, which should be like really, that should be July 4th, right? But
hey, you know what?
A lot of people aren't aware, but it's actually my birthday, so like I have been aware of it for many years.
Nice.
Hopefully, it's a huge July 4th for this year, and I think we really need to make that known.
Yeah, I think so. I think we can. I think we can make something happen. Maybe we can team up with you guys to get the word out.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
For sure.
We'd love to.
Well, we really appreciate your time, and just really wanted to get the conversation going, because after I saw your interview, like I told you earlier, with Mayor Adler, and just saying we should reach out to different people, I was like, let's just try to reach out to him and see what he says. And I really I know you've got a billion things going on, and thank you so much for talking to us.
Yeah, no problem. And I do want to remind people that we are having our planned peaceful protest this Sunday at 1:00 at Houston-Tillotson University. It's called Black Austin for Black Lives. Just to center, we really want our community to have a chance to come out and be in the streets. But it's for everybody. We want to break the record of the people in Houston. They had 60,000, and I know we could do that in Austin if we wanted to, right? So this Sunday, 1 p.m., Houston-Tillotson University is going to be, I think, a magical moment. So hope to see you all there.
Cool. All right. Let me just close out with this. Put you in a spot a little bit. What are your next 2 items on your agenda right now for your coalition?
Oh,
or the two biggest items?
The number 1, and it's currently going on right now with the city council starting in a few, is defund. We have to divest from the police department. We have to start taking some of that money out and realize that the role that we expect Austin Police Department to play, our police departments in general, is too wide. We need to shrink the role of police. We need to, instead of having police go to mental health calls, how about social workers, right? And you don't necessarily need an armed officer to go to a car crash scene. You don't need an armed officer to go to every scene. So like, how can we reduce the role of police? How can we divest some of the resources and money we have in police departments and put that to other safety measures like EMS, like fire, like social workers? I think that is the most important thing, because where we put our money shows us what's important to us as a community. And right now it says that we really, really love our police, and that our parks are not that important, and that our communities, our low income, our communities of color are not that important. And the second thing, again, and I hate to say it because I do like the guy, I think he's awesome, is I really think we need to reevaluate the leadership that we have at the top of Austin Police Department, Brian Manley. And again, it's not Brian Manley by himself, right? It's so many other things in that, but he represents the head. And I really think we need some new leadership that can take us to the place we all want to go, which is a safer and more inclusive Austin for everybody.
Absolutely. Well, again, yeah, thank you so much for coming on, man, taking your time. And it's very busy for you coming on, and keep doing great work out there, bud.
Well, I appreciate y'all, man. Hopefully we can get a beer when the world opens up. So.
Hey, absolutely.
Yes, sir.
And hope to maybe see you out there for Houston-Tillotson. We'll definitely try and come out.
See y'all Sunday.
Take care.
All right, man. Adios.